So let's start with prayer. Blessed are you, Yahweh our Elohim. We thank you very much for this day, your Sabbath. We thank you for this great plan that you've invited us all to be a part of. And we thank you for this particular parsha that we can try and figure out a little bit more about what it means to be in your kingdom. In Yeshua's name I pray. Amen. So this whole thing got changed this morning a little bit, but I decided to go with what I had already produced. And so leper, that's the Hebrew for it. And if you split it apart, this is according to Mark Biltz. I stole his slides. If you pull them apart, then you've got evil and speech. I preface this with I couldn't find in the book that we use for learning the meaning of the words, I couldn't find them actually spelled exactly like this. So either it has changed over the years or some literary license got taken. But that's what we're going to go with. It's evil speech is yes, but the speech is the one I couldn't find. Yeah, the first one is. So, and Jehovah spake unto Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper, then shall the priest command to take for him, that is to be cleansed, 2 living clean birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop, and the priest shall command to kill one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. As for the living bird, he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them in, and the living bird, in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water. And he shall sprinkle it upon him that is to be cleansed from the leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and say, sorry that the bird is now dizzy, and shall let go the living bird into the open field and watch it go in circles. That actually doesn't say that. And he that is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes and shave off all his hair and bathe himself in water, and he shall be clean. And after that he shall come into the camp, but shall dwell outside his tent 7 days. So what I have found, and what Teresa alluded to, is that they take the living bird and they tie it or lash it to the cedar wood with the scarlet thread, and then they dip the bird, I'm guessing the tail feathers, into the blood that is in the pot that was done all over running water. So I don't think there's any water in with the blood. I think it's all blood. And then they take it and sprinkle it 7 times, and then he's cleansed. Very, very weird. But, I mean, it's the commandment. So, and it shall be on the 7th day that he shall shave all. and his beard, and his eyebrows, even all his hair, he shall shave off, and he shall wear clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water, and he shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 he-lambs without blemish, and 1 ewe lamb, a year old, without blemish, and 3/10 parts of an ephah of fine flour for a meal offering, mingled with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the log is a measure that apparently is less than a 10th part, or less than a liter is a log. And the priest shall take 1 of the he-lambs and offer him for a trespass offering, and the log of oil, and wave them for a wave offering before Jehovah. And he shall kill the he-lamb in the place where they kill the sin offering and the burnt offering, in the place of the sanctuary. For as the sin offering is the priest's, so is the trespass offering. It is most holy. So these are not totally burned up. They're given to the priest to eat, but it's very holy, so they have to do it in a very holy place. And the priest shall take the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. Again, the same thing that's done to anoint the priest to be in office. And so then, and the priest shall take the log of oil and pour it into the palm of his own left hand, and the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle of the oil with his finger 7 times before Jehovah. So I think this isn't sprinkled on the person, it's just sprinkled in the air, and then I'd lose my place. And of the rest of the oil that is in his hand shall the priest put upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, upon the blood of the trespass offering. So I'll pause a little bit. In thinking about that, oil is like the commandments of God. And so he's already put the blood on the person, and now he's going to put the commandments, or a representation of the commandments, on the exact same place. I think to emphasize that this person's walk is now going to be Torah observant, or they want them to be. I'm not sure, but that kind of is how it reads with all of the other references to oil in the Bible. And the priest shall offer the sin offering and make atonement for him that is to be cleansed because of his uncleanness, and afterward he shall kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the burnt offering and the meal offering upon the altar, and the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. So atonement is really, we have 1 day set apart for it in the year, and this is a representation of that day, I believe, where it's not the entire nation, but the individual that is being brought back into the camp. So if you wonder why in the world do people have to shave off all their hair, this is a hair in a petri dish. And all of those little, the hair is under, yeah, the hair is this long piece that goes around the petri dish. All the rest of it is all the bacteria that is growing off of that hair in this petri dish. So, yeah, we're filthy. And so that's why he has to be shaven twice and his entire body. So I put this up here just as to allude to the red heifer and the things that Teresa has already said about it. No need to read it again, but that is another use of the elements. And Isaiah 1:16, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek justice. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Come, come now, and let us reason together, saith Jehovah. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. But if ye refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword, for the mouth of Jehovah hath spoken it. And then Matthew, it's talking about the healing of the leper. And I found it interesting that Yahweh is the great I am. And in this passage, it says, Matthew 8:2, and behold, there came to him a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. Now remember, it's a two-step process. You first have to be healed of the leprosy, and then you can be cleaned. You can't switch it around. So Yeshua said, and he stretched forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou be made clean. And straightway his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus saith unto him, see thou tell no man, but go, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony. Well, we know that we're not sure that he actually went to the priest, because he went outside and started telling everybody that he was healed. And so I'm not sure if he actually followed through on his part. But the interesting thing that stood out to me is I will and I am. And so he is the great I am, and this is just a more enunciation of it.
But also the leper, first thing he did was worship Yeshua.
Yes. We're going to see that later on. We're going to see that later on. So, this is the mocking of Yeshua and basically giving him a bunch of uncleanness by spitting on him and such. For when every commandment had been spoken by Moses unto all the people according to the law, he took the blood of the calves and the goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book itself and all the people, saying, this is the blood of the covenant which God commanded to you, to your word, toward you. Moreover, the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry he sprinkled in like manner with the blood. And according to the law, I may also say all things are cleansed with blood, and apart from shedding of blood, there is no remission. Again, just emphasizing the detail at which this ceremony is done. I'm not going to read all this. I'll get you the... So I'll switch back. When Yeshua was on the mountain and told by God to go to the people and tell them I am, and Moses kind of hesitated and maybe used some discouraging wording of himself mostly. But he said, they're not going to listen to me. And he said, well then, take the stick that you've got and throw it on the ground. And it turned to either a snake or an alligator. And then God told him, okay, pick it up by the tail once he was done running around and things. And it turned back to a staff. And they said, okay, if they won't believe this sign, go ahead, stick your hand in your coat or cloak and pull it back out. He pulled it out and it was leprous. And then he said, okay, put it back in. And he took it out that time and it was all healed and just like his other one. And he said, if they don't remember, or if they don't believe the first sign, they'll believe this sign. And this was in light of talking to the Israelites about being brought out of Egypt, not Pharaoh. So these are signs to start with for the people, not the Egyptians. And again, the leprosy sign was never used in that 10 events. So then we have Miriam and Aaron go to Moses and say they want a part of all of this. They want a bigger part of all of this. And Miriam was stricken with leprosy, only she was stricken. It recorded that she was completely white. So she had been given all the way up to being healed, but just the sign of leprosy.
Good one, honey.
And so that's why she didn't have to go through all the other ritual, but she had to stay outside the camp for 7 days, be then pronounced clean. That's why we touched each other on some of these subjects, or touched with each other on some of these topics and things, but I tried to keep some things so that she wouldn't say them during the children's. So again, it's the right ear, right thumb, and right big toe, and we've seen that it's a part of many rituals, but connected somehow. And so then we have a recent application of this, which people say that Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, was anointed as a priest. But I put to you that he was actually cleansed of leprosy. So he got shot on his right ear. He touched it first with his right thumb because of just the way he was standing and stuff. And then he was pushed down to the ground by the security force. And during that time, he lost his shoes. I don't know if he wears socks with his shoes or if it even matters, but there was blood down there that he was pushed into, and so probably his toes ended up with blood. So he's in a kneeling position, like he's praying, and I'm assuming that he probably did pray after this, while this was happening. And a priest, it's not recorded that he kneels down, but a leper, the leper in the New Testament, came and worshiped Yeshua and asked to be cleansed. Just putting it out there. This passage, or the web link, is actually from Jonathan Cahn, a thing that he did a week after and stuff, and talked about the episode. And he was sure that he was then anointed for this presidency. But he also commented while he was doing this that afterwards he noticed that Trump was more humble. And it doesn't say that a priest is humbled. A priest does what a priest does to get attention and talk. So the accounts of lepers we've kind of gone through. So Moses was shown the sign of the leper to use that. And it was for the people to understand who he was, not the king or the Pharaoh. But Miriam then spoke out and brought this curse upon her. And I believe at that point, the people probably took notice of the second sign. For Israelites outside the gate, they kind of had a come to Yeshua moment when they kept burying stuff and then said, oh, we should probably let everybody else know. And the family of Joab, via a command from David, I couldn't find that this ever occurred, but David had kind of cursed the family of Joab that all of their ancestors would. And Naaman is not Israel, and he's Samaritan, Assyrian, or a Syrian. And his leprosy was healed just by washing in the Jordan by Elisha. But then Gehazi went after Naaman to get some gifts for himself. And when he came back, Elisha put the leprosy on him. And as far as we know, he lived the rest of his life with leprosy. Uzziah, he's called Uzziah in Chronicles, but in Kings, he's called Azariah. And he was king of Judah, and he lived separate in a house by himself and ruled the kingdom through his son. And I don't know how long he lived after he acquired the... Yeah. And then the person healed by Yeshua, which, like I said with Trump, it kind of mirrors what happened to Trump.
David,
Yep.
I'm wondering, when Miriam got the leprosy, how come Aaron didn't? I thought they committed the same sin. Is there a reason?
I think she was the instigator. She was the more outspoken of the two. But yeah, you can look at, if it's really due to evil tongue, which I now have questions about that, then why wasn't it more rampant? In the Old Testament, why weren't more people struck with it? in the New Testament.
And how does a piece of cloth have an equal tone?
Yeah. And so I didn't touch on it, but the house, Yeshua, or yeah, it is Yeshua. When you come into the land that I'm giving you, and if I put leprosy in the walls of a house that you own that you didn't build, you got it from the pillaging and from the grace of God for bringing you into the land. So I don't know how leprosy can be attached to a house, because if it was actually due to the person living in the house speaking evil and such, then when he goes to the priest to get the house sealed as certified as a leper house, then all the stuff would be leprous too, I would think. But the priest says, okay, you say you think you have leprosy in your house. You go home, take everything out of the house, and then I will come and examine it. Well, all of his stuff is now out of the house, but he pronounces it leprous. The stuff is not leprous. It makes no sense to me anyway. And yeah,
Kathy and I were talking about this one time, and the full stop was kind of hilarious. That when the woman has taken everything out of the house, then the neighbors see everything.
oh, yep.
And one neighbor could say, well, I asked you if I could borrow this and that, and you said you know, and I asked you for this, you said that. So when you put it out, everybody gets to see also. It was just a comedy.
No, Mark Bilt spoke on that as well. And but then the other thing that Mark says is, since this is a house that you didn't build, it was built by someone else and you're taking it over. Well, when the priest tells you to take the stones out of the wall, there might be treasure back there that the person was trying to hide before he sold the house or he got evicted. That then you're more wealthy because of this stuff. But that stuff stayed in there while the priest was condemning it as leprous. So now you have to go through that whole cleaning ceremony of that stuff. So I don't know if that's true. I think it's just a nice story. I don't know. But yeah, that is pretty much it. And then the clothing. How can you get disease in the clothing and not be on the person too? So both of them, but yeah. But you would think that the person that initially had it also had Ebola before it got passed on. But this is, no, maybe your clothes have it, but you don't. And it's all very odd. But the thing that I found this morning, I'm done, by the way, at this point, other than when researching it this morning, because this is a two-part Parsha. And so the first part of the Parsha is about a woman's uncleanness after giving birth. And what determines that you have leprosy, how you get it. Well, not really how you get it, how you're determined that you have it. Then the second half of the Parsha is the healing and the cleansing of all of these things.